Good morning.
I think you need to do something.
Good morning, everybody. What? Oh, is everybody ready? Now, only the people that know us well will know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, so if you're listening on podcast and you don't normally listen to us, go somewhere else.
The signs of Christmas. The signs of Christmas. The signs of Christmas. There we go. That's all I'm saying.
That's it.
The reason we are saying that is Dina and I are filming something today for Vlogmas. Hence my Christmassy top. Hence I've got false eyelashes on.
Hence, she's got bells in her knickers.
With bells on her fingers and rings on her toes. She shall have music wherever she goes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Have you ever had nipple tassels on?
Nope, because they would tickle my toes.
I like that. They brush your toes. They tickle your toes. Nipple tassel toe ticklers. We've invented something for the...
Say it.
Nipple tassel toe ticklers.
Nipple tassel. Can't do it.
Nipple tapple.
Nipple. No.
Nipple. Oh, okay. All right.
I think Mark's brought this up because later we're going to be talking about Kim Kardashian's nipples
Well,
that you can buy in a bra.
I was going to say, are they her nipples though?
And we're also going to be talking about. Go on, you take it.
Well, we're going to have a little talk about Storm. How do you pronounce it? Storm Ciaran. Is it Storm Ciaran?
And if anybody is in the eye of the storm, please tell us. But I'm presuming that a lot of people's internet will be down because last night again our internet kept going because of the rain. It was so interesting because it went for like 20 seconds. No, it had gone for about 30 seconds, and we were watching Married at First Sight, and we were like, and we just stopped ourselves. We went, that's what happens in Gaza every night. They cut the lights, they cut the whole night. Gratitude.
Thanks, Clodagh. Storm Ciaran is. Yeah, no, on that note, we are going to be obviously touching upon and talking about the horrendousness of Gaza, the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. But we are going to try and observe what we said we were going to do yesterday, which is leave that towards the end, because I think, for a number of people, it's so overwhelming. I mean, and that's acknowledging that we have the luxury of it being overwhelming for us, but we can't change the facts of the situation. And obviously we talk a lot. I'm posting a lot on Instagram, on Insta stories.
Talking about it.
We're talking a lot on here too.
But we're going to park it at the end of the chat. So for those that might not want to engage, they can leave.
Absolutely.
So Palestine, Israel will be spoken about at the end.
So it's a weird day in terms of other news. Something that struck me today, and again, this isn't an indirect way of going back to the Palestinian-Israeli thing.
We're going to do that, Abby.
Yeah. Is that the mainstream media, ever since Coffee Moaning started, we've looked to principally the mainstream media for, what the news stories of the day are, what's going on, what's making people talk, what's causing upset. And by and large, when there hasn't been something this is quite divisive. I think this even more, I would say, than necessarily COVID, though I think COVID was probably the last example of that, where the mainstream media wants everyone to think in a certain way. And it's, lots of other people who don't want to think in a certain way, and often in social media, are categorized as batshit crazy, conspiracy theorists, alternates, do you know what I mean? And all that kind of stuff. And I have to confess, if I'm really honest, when we went into COVID and we started doing Coffee Moaning, I think I would have characterized a lot of that too. It's not that I blindly trusted in any way the right. I knew that we had the right-wing press. I think I trusted that the limited left-wing press we had was doing a job. And this and COVID have proven to me that they don't. And that you need to reach even beyond The Guardian and stuff like that.
I'm trying to remember what we used to talk... When we first started Coffee Moaning, did we do a lot of the current news? COVID. Because we started right at the beginning of COVID, didn't we?
It was mainly... It was emerging out of COVID. And it was kind of steering us all through the kind of fears and worries of what was going on, really. But
and again, when we bump into people, and that lovely lady that I met at the spa the other week, and... that relationship that we all built at that time was, and so many of you were, and more are now still here and have seen the sort of the
we've had followers join us. We've had followers Xander. pass away. We've, there's just been...
We've been through a lot together.
Yeah.
And some days, if you've only just joined Coffee Money, some days we just chat about just stuff, just about life stuff. So it's different every day, and it's important that we have fun and that we have, tears, and that we share. And please always share your differing opinions. Please do. The world works in such an echo vacuum way. As long as everyone's polite, we love to hear, and courteous, we love to hear. We love to be challenged.
We love. I love
that sometimes when we go, do you know what? I hadn't thought of that when we come to the end of Coffee Money.
Yeah. So we have got a light because we are literally at the epicenter of darkness. Dark. It's become so dark.
So we're looking better than we actually do. We look like a bag of shit. It's this light.
I look like a bag of chips. What was I going to say? A good example of that, just briefly, for anyone who's listening and hasn't listened, it's like, for example, Xander, God rest his soul, was. I think he wouldn't mind. He wouldn't have minded me characterizing him as an extreme Trumpian right Republican. Absolute kind of Trumpian through and through, in all the manners and aspects that we would ourselves have not aligned in and didn't align on any single topic. But
I love that, Siobhan. Siobhan says she loves the randomness of that.
Yeah. But he was an example of someone who was at the opposite end of the political spectrum to us. And we have a few here who sit very in an oppositional position, but aren't rude, don't try and pull people down, don't troll, don't do all that kind of stuff. As soon as you go there, regardless of what your politics are, we're gonna remove it. I mean, there was someone the other day being incredibly aggressive and annoying, and it looked like they were very much sort of from the political side of the spectrum that was ours. And again, they had to be sort of removed from the channel. So it's a curious place. But all I wanted to say was I was just struck again today going through the news, and we were looking for news stories. We found some sort of bits and bobs that are kind of silly. And I thought, isn't it interesting? All the mainstream media has, and again, we're going to get to this later, has just pushed the Gaza Israeli story right down the news.
Because people get bored. And because the mainstream media keeps feeding it in the same way, people get bored. And that's a terrible thing to say when people are listening, but they do. And it's because it's like, we turned on the news yesterday, didn't we, last night? And you were like, oh, God, because you're just plotting everything out that everybody knew. It's like, okay, I turned it off the next second.
Can I just finally say, for those of you who've been with us from the beginning who do remember Xander, Aaron Bullimore, and for a fact, I know that for a whole range of reasons, you and Xander will not have seen eye to eye on virtually anything. But look, Aaron, Xander was good. He softened in some of his extreme views thanks to how nuanced you guys always make these discussions.
And you're always a big part of our discussions.
Yeah, you really are.
You've made us think about a lot of things. You brought us out of our sort of foginess sometimes and our lack of awakeness. So, right.
So, really good. Okay, so the first story I want to talk about, and this is not making light of the story, but I've pulled it up again because it keeps popping up on the news flow. Erin Patterson. Let's talk about Erin Patterson and her mushrooms. Now, this is the woman in Australia who...
Incredible story.
Is anyone from Australia here now? Because what I find really odd about this story is the way it really moved at such a snail's pace, hasn't it? I mean, people have died, people have gone to hospital. Potential victims have talked about their experience of lunch.
Well, maybe just set up what
So this is an Australian woman. She's been arrested over the suspected mushroom poisoning of her 3 former in-laws.
Poisoning deaths.
Yeah, deaths. Erin Patterson, 49, served up a beef Wellington dish that included mushrooms for a family gathering in July earlier this year. It was supposed to be a reconciliation lunch with her former husband, Simon Patterson's family.
Who didn't actually come in the end, though nobody knows why he didn't
come in. But Gail, her sister, Heather, and Don, who was Simon's parents, fell unwell after consuming the beef Wellington. I love a beef Wellington. It's terrible, isn't it? And they were hospitalised, and they later died.
Now, do you remember we spoke about this ages? There was speculation because she was an expert forager, apparently. Yes. And I was reading today, people in that local area don't forage because there are so many poisonous mushrooms. So we initially, when we spoke about it right at the beginning, how many months ago, everyone thought that she'd foraged, but it then came out that she said she'd bought it from a supermarket and an Asian shop. She bought 2 different sets of mushrooms from 2 different shops. But now, further on with police investigation, there has been no other reports of poisoning or deaths. So there would be some, is the suggestion, in that area. If there's from the Asian shop and there's from the...
there was also evidence of certain people, I think her children or someone, being offered the food and them not eating.
Well, now
not
apparently
eating
they're saying that the children weren't there. The children were at the cinema.
So
initially,
yes.
It was that they'd all eaten it, and the two children and her were okay. She did go in. She did then go to the doctor at some point, didn't she, and say she had symptoms as well.
Right. This has all the makings of one of those podcasts you love.
Apparently, she's a true crime addict.
Oh no, well, that doesn't look good, does it?
So,
I mean, this is not making light, but it is a very odd story.
No, I mean, people have lost their lives here. This is incredibly serious and tragic.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
we all knew she was guilty in Australia.
Really?
Well, she's just been charged with murder.
She's only been charged at this point. There's been...
Joyce Pritchard says, isn't this the second time she's poisoned someone? Well, her husband, her ex-husband, said that he used to feel ill. Do you remember suggesting that maybe she tried to kill him with food in the past? So you're saying she's such an expert forager, she knew exactly what she was getting.
I don't know, but in those initial reports that we watched, that we read and talked about all those months ago, it did say that. Whether this is all just hearsay in the local area or not, but today we know that she has been arrested and charged with murder. Yeah. So that's happening, and it's been the most oddest thing where there's been so much footage and photographs of her standing in her drive whilst people have come up to. All I've seen of her is her standing in her drive looking really distressed, which I find really strange. So that's a big news story today. Storm Ciaran, guys. Is anyone in it?
So are you in it? Are you being affected by it? I mean, it's incredibly dark here. I don't know if it's going to hit us though. I don't know how much London. I mean, we're going to get rain all day. But let's have a look. Major incident declared. Homes are evacuated. Schools closed. Bridges closed. Residents forced to leave homes.
It's very bad in Cornwall, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, look at that.
Look, Jersey. I know we've got a couple of followers in Jersey. 40 people and their 8 pets have been put in an alternative accommodation. It's weird, isn't it? When you sort of
look at that.
Yeah, you look at the footage.
It's the people that go out looking that I find it so bizarre. How people do it. 'Cause every year people lose their lives from going to look at these storms, don't they? And yet we are inextricably drawn as humans to look at just that power of nature. It's just...
and also there's that sort of strange thing of, it won't affect me. We have that sort of odd belief.
Yeah, that happens to other people.
It doesn't happen to me. How strange is that? So let's have a look. Who's most schools are closed here.
I mean, the thing is, there is going to be more and more extreme weather. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. The wind has been howling here in South Wales. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Anna,
Yes, I'm in St Ives.
Yeah.
Click on that.
Which one? Jane Kendrick. Yeah, I'm in St Ives, and the noise was crazy last night. Massive waves, very scary.
Very scary, especially. I mean, St Ives, all those little cottages right at the front that we love and we covet, and we, I always think when I'm there, thinking, I'd love to be here. I think, no. Yeah. I mean, there's actually some footage of.
I've got it. I'm going to show you it.
Oh.
The one you sent me.
Yeah.
Of the window blowing through.
Yeah, there's actually some footage that was caught on a. I couldn't actually open it. Oh, you can see it. This is in Jersey. Of a window blowing in. Oh, how terrifying is that? Look where the pot is. Oh my God.
Wow. If it gets bad in the Midlands, the rest of the country is buggered, says Dawny Harvey. Yeah, no, absolutely right. It seems... I mean, it's overcast, but it's not particularly stormy.
I did a series years ago for the BBC just about the weather. Not that accidents will happen. Do you remember the weather one I did?
Stormy weather.
It was just weather. Yeah. And when they pitched it to me, and I went, really? What, it's just going to be about the weather? It was maybe, God, I don't know, 15, 18 years ago. And they were like, I said, will anyone watch it? And they said, oh my God, the Brits.
The Brits and weather.
And weather, they are obsessed. And it was quite a boring show. I mean, I didn't really enjoy doing it, to say the truth. But it did. And I looked like it was one of those shows where I looked like I had a broom up my arse all the way through. Here we are in da-da-da.
You do, but you sometimes have that on Curly Cooks. There are moments where you're confused with what's happening, where you look like you've you look like you've sat on a palm tree.
No, not that kind of look. The other look where I've been trying to be something that I'm not because I didn't really believe in weather.
Right. When
but
you had a posh voice.
But anyway, it did really well. They were right. Lots of people watched it.
Everyone's begging us to let's get to Kim Kardashian.
Right. First of all, Kimmy, baby, we wish we could play you the ad that she's done.
I failed to pull up a bloody photograph. Let me see if I can get one, and you carry on talking.
But don't worry, because guess what? I am going to be
You're not.
Filming it.
You're not.
I cannot. Kim's been letting me down recently. There's been nothing crazy enough for me to parody, but I am going to do this. Are you going to play it?
No. I'm just going to get a photo so we know what we're talking about. So explain what's going on.
So basically, Skims have now released a bra with nipples on it. Brilliant. Right? But and she actually acts brilliantly in her ad where she's taking the piss out of herself.
You know, she's apparently the best thing in American Horror Story.
Well, she has such extreme confidence, I think. That's why. And so she plays on her own ridiculously.
Right.
And you know, I'm all for that. And as you know, I've watched the Kardashians. But actually, this bra really pisses me off. Really, really makes me angry.
Yeah.
And I am going to be doing a piss take of it.
Right.
I wish I could do it today, but I ordered some Skims-like looking top and leggings that I could do it with because I felt like I needed to dress up a bit more for this one. But I find it so, oh my God, in every way, this plays into the horror of being a woman and the demands upon us. God, I wish we could play the video. What about if I played it from my phone with no sound?
I don't know. Well, yeah, I suppose you could.
Because basically, there she is.
Why does a bra... Can I just... Russ asked a very simple question. Why does a bra need nipples on it?
Well, Russ, what she is selling is how to have the perfect nipples. So even when it's hot outside, you look cold. 2 nipples sticking out like this, cold, ready, so that everybody's eyes in the room look at these perfectly placed nipples.
Like radio antennae.
Yes. And the thing is, I mean, God, you just saying that is so interesting. I remember one particular job I did years and years ago. I had really big boobs, you know, when I was younger. And it was just the running joke. And I laughed along with it. It's like, oh, let's see if we can get Russia. And everyone would do this. Let's see if we can get Russia on Nadja's boobs. They wouldn't touch them, but they would do that and we'd all laugh.
What, when you were running? Is that what was a running joke? Is that what you mean? I'm sorry, I thought you meant run.
Don't be such an idiot.
As in running.
Mark, you're doing the very thing. Stop it. Not when I was running, no. But anyway.
I thought people hated the nipples showing.
Well, that's what a lot of women will say. And why do they say that? Why do lots of women wear nipple covers? Because immediately there is going to be a certain amount of people in the room that go, she's showing her nipples. Like, it's just all so messed up. Whether you show them or whether you don't show them, there's something that you shouldn't be doing.
Can I ask
you know what I mean? But here we've got 2. So this is how we're supposed to look. 2 perfect nipples, perfectly placed on the perfect breast. How many people actually have that breast that we see? And let's not forget, these women that promote this are, though they've never said it, almost definitely have had, in my opinion, breast implants. So to get what we are supposed to have, the perfect breast, for whom is it going to feed your child? For whom is this perfect breast? And, you know, I think about my friends that have lost their nipples due to breast cancer. And they are they're getting tattoos or they're looking for something. And I think now you are putting this out, that this is what we're supposed to have.
You're not happy then?
No, it's disgusting. Because, again, what happens when you take the goddamn bra off?
I suppose it would.
What happens when you take the goddamn bra off
and
your boobs fall down to your waist and your tits can brush your shoes?
What
happens then? It is like filter of the filter of the filter. It's like people now filter themselves so much on Instagram. They don't want to go out because they don't want to meet people because they don't look anything like they put themselves out to look.
But isn't it the same argument, with all due respect, for wearing any type of skims type thing? You are presenting a completely adjusted, altered version of yourself, and this is another decorative detail. I mean, what's the difference? You just said you take it off and you're not it. But that's the case, isn't it? I mean, the sound of skims flying across bedrooms as they come off. And no one, I'm not passing judgment, but then the reality of the body comes out.
I was looking yesterday for a padded leggings because I wanted to do this parody. You know, I couldn't believe how much padded stuff there is. Padded on the side, padded on the hips. So all these things that I'm seeing where people's bums are suddenly huge and their side, it's like padding. And you think, what's the difference between that and having our feet bound, you know, or having corsets so you couldn't breathe and your ribs would crack? It's too much. It's just too much.
It's almost like it's the modern day equivalent in reverse for women of a soldier, a knight, having to take off all his armour to get into bed. It's like padded armour.
But again, we're back to what it's going to be like for the person that is then going to look at your body or touch your body. So let's take out the person
Isn't that why you're wearing
get home and have sex with. Let's just take out what she is selling here. What she's selling this time, I think, is truly awful.
Right. Okay.
Just no bones about it.
Right.
It's like we have so many things that we worry about. You know, I always say when we were growing up, we didn't know we had to be embarrassed about a labia. We didn't know because we never saw anybody's.
Give me a warning before
But
you say
now women are having operations to trim them. Teenagers are wanting their labias dyed so they're pink.
Dyed?
Yes.
Dyed?
Bleached.
Oh, I thought you meant colour.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Like bleaching of anuses.
Bubblegum pink is what you're supposed to have.
Well, they're dyeing them Sorry, I can't even...
Wanting them bleached. Yes.
I was trying to think of what the equivalent for men would be. It would be like having a
knob. Bumholes bleached.
I've heard of that, yeah. It would be like having a sort of fake knob, wouldn't it, on the front of your pants?
Well, somebody put under one of her posts, so are the men going to have like fake penises on their pants?
Yeah, or a fake scrotum, or a tight bollocks. So I can't believe we're saying these words.
I mean, the shapewear that Skims sell is
Natasha.
Unbelievably expensive, right? But I cannot bet, and I don't own a single article of Skims.
Why do people bleach their bottoms?
Because the old-fashioned thing of the what's it called, Spanx. I used to wear those, and one day I just went, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore, and actually letting it wobble, letting my tummy wobble a bit. I actually feel so much more womanly than I do like stuck up like a sausage.
Fake erection pants, says Laura Dion. Would that be the same? Here's the other thing though about the erect nipple. I want to ask a really, really probing question, and I don't mean that in a probing fashion.
Hang on a minute. Where's that gone? Look, who's just said that? A lot of flap talk.
Oh yeah. I want to ask a really important question. It's well known, and it's sort of a thing. And if you watch the film Babylon, starring Margot Robbie, actresses would use ice to make their nipples erect, so that they, when they're having.
So they look up for it and ready for it.
Yeah. But is there ever a moment or a set of circumstances in which, as a woman, you want to show the fact that your nipples are erect? Is it like a moment? Is there something about saying, look at these things? Is there, or is it all about?
You know what? Whatever you want to do, just do it. And if you like that sort of attention, I remember, what was it? Was it Housewives of Beverly Hills? Some group of women got so annoyed. Oh no, I know what it was. Vanderpump Rules. Do you remember the woman that kept coming braless?
Yes.
And her nipples were showing.
Yes.
And the other women were
furious.
So vile to her, and I was like, "What's your problem?"
But is there
what difference?
I know what it was.
Like, because she's trying to get all the attention from the men.
Is there nipple envy? Do certain women
Listen,
go, no, but in the locker room...
There's envy about everything.
But I'm just trying to get into...
All I wanted was straight hair.
Yeah.
I was envious of women with straight hair.
I didn't know I
because
wanted
I was the only person that had curly hair. But then there was all these women envying my hair because I had curly hair. The whole thing is mad.
No, but within the culture of within whatever the equivalent of the locker room is for women, is there a thing of, oh my God, you've got those kind of nipples, you're so lucky? Is there that?
Well, absolutely. Because if you've got perfect nipples that stick up, you've got perfect breasts that don't hang in any way, of course.
And that's what it's about.
The images are all about a prepubescent kind of breast. Those are the images that we see all the time. So, of course, women are left feeling inferior when they're... And, of course, it's brilliant now because there's so much more out there. And so women aren't feeling like freaks of nature because they haven't got the... But this bra is taking us back to...
Well, it's
big,
funny.
round nipples pointing to the sky saying, hallelujah, I'm here and I'm ready for at any point.
And they can pick up Radio 4 as well. I mean, I don't think they are big, though. They're quite tiny and pert. Just on that...
breasts are big and round. The bra is padded and then there is a nipple on.
There is an appropriate nipple size per breast. I mean, some of them are going to look ridiculous. Tiny little nipple on a big breast, right? Or... even a large...
missing my point.
No, but do you get different size nipples?
You're annoying me.
No, does she say... Okay, look, on the nipple front...
No, she's saying the complete bloody opposite. Yeah, but she's saying we should all look a uniform way. That's what she's saying.
I'm curious to know that when you have different sizes of bra, will the nipple size go down accordingly?
No, I don't think so.
Don't get annoyed, because we have history. We have beef around nipples, if I'm honest. Huge beef. My nipples...
If you bring this up
nipples...
I will be so angry with you. Do not do this. And I'm warning you, and I mean it. Don't. If you do, I'm going to leave right now, I tell you.
Okay. I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to say is sometimes my nipples are so hard, they hurt.
Well, I'm so glad you've shared that.
Anyway.
It's been brilliant because we've just had illustrated the absolute numptiness of men.
Well, it's not numpty.
You're a pure numpt.
That's
all
not
the way
numped.
through that discussion.
I was not numped. I was genuinely interested in whether women... I know there's a lot of chat about breast size,
you were genuinely interested in having a giggle,
body shape.
and having a giggle about nipples. Like a 6-year-old.
You nearly did something there, and you weren't even aware of it. You'd have opened a hornet's nest.
Horn being the...
I'm literally... Feel mine now. Look.
Mark,
Mark,
I've just had a serious conversation about perfect nipples being sold to us for God knows how much, and you want me to feel your nipples.
I have perfect nipples. I have to confess, I think I have perfect nipples. In fact, if there's one thing about me I quite like, it's my nipples. Really, I do. See what I mean? The chat just goes anywhere. You never know where it's going to go.
Hey, wow, look at that chat flow. Do you know what? This is what it's like in our house all the time. When people come and stay with us, they're exhausted afterwards. They go...
Especially after they've been...
And it wasn't until we both got diagnosed with ADHD that we did actually realise we were mad.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, everyone finds it a bit strange that we ask them to flick. Flicking a nipple is something, isn't it?
Oh, my God, I wish we hadn't started talking about nipples now.
I don't know. I find them quite exciting in a sort of... No, they're funny things, aren't they? I mean, they really are odd.
I don't think it's a feminist issue to wear a bra, because I know a lot of people think we shouldn't wear bras, because I would be wholly uncomfortable. I would not want to not wear a bra. I love bras, don't get me wrong, but I don't want bras with nipples stuck on them. I
saw a disproportionate amount of nipples when I was younger due to my mum's feminist creches, marches, protests. I grew up in a lesbian household. I saw an enormous, vast range of nipples. So I'm okay with this nipple chat. Bras make breasts, as Erin Bullimore, look uniform anyway. Their design is less about support and more about shaping. If they were actually about support, they wouldn't be so strappy and cups would be different shapes.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I think. April Spooky, very keen for you to see. Nadia, you look stunning. That's what she said.
Because we've got this light on. Turn the light off. Show them what I really look like.
No, because then they'll literally see nothing.
We've only got the light on because it's so dark.
With you, Nads. I realise, Jackie Villino, I realised you were crazy before your diagnosis. Too far, Mark, too far, says Donny Harvey. But she is laughing after that.
Yeah,
so she doesn't
Donny Harvey saying too far. She's just trying to encourage you.
On that note, look, there's a nipple on my forehead. Oh. I don't know if we can segue to serious news now.
Was there another thing that we had to talk about, though?
I don't know if we can.
I thought there was something else.
Their brain power in over 50s.
No, that's fine. Of course we can segue.
Yeah.
So now this is the moment, guys, that if you don't want to engage about the war, that you can leave. What I would say though is, first of all, we're just talking about Angelina Jolie has come out, so I might want to stay for that bit, because as far as we're concerned, that's huge news. She has 14.7 million followers on Instagram. I believe she's just recently resigned from her position in the UN. Is it that she's in? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's worked with refugees and all sorts of charities over the years, and she's dedicated much of her life to this. And she is supremely informed, isn't she, on these matters? Yeah. And I think there has been there has been a feeling of waiting to hear what she would say about this, because of course she's always been very engaged in the plight of children and women in war. And so, yeah, I'd certainly been hoping for some sort of comment from her. And she has not let us down, because yesterday she came out with a very, very strong comment on the bombing of what's the name of it, Mark? What's the refugee camp?
Oh, the refugee camp. Is it Jabalia?
No, I'm going to get it right. Jabalia.
Yeah.
So do you want to...
Well, look, I mean, the story here is really that Angelina Jolie didn't pull her punches in an Instagram post yesterday, and I think it's quite significant. I think we might post something on Insta Stories about it.
Okay.
And it's the fact that she's calling it out for what it is, that there are innocent people being killed, that it's, this is a place that it's an open prison. She talks about the conditions of Gaza. Yeah, I'd have to find it though. So
I've got it.
Give me a sec.
I've got it.
But I think the fact, what's interesting me is the fact that someone of such a high profile has said what she said, and there's zero press coverage of it in the mainstream
and when
media.
You think she's not just a celeb that's just stepped off the movie set. She is somebody that is, is respected within.
I mean, some of it says this is the deliberate bombing of a trapped population who have nowhere to flee. Gaza has been an open-air prison for nearly 2 decades and is fast becoming a mass grave. 40% of those killed are innocent children. I didn't realize it was here. Whole families are being murdered while the world watches, and with the active support of many governments, millions of Palestinian civilians, children, women, and families are being collectively punished and dehumanized, all while being deprived of food, medicine, and humanitarian aid against international law. That is irrefutably the truth. That's what I don't understand. This is the bit where I say it's just...
Yeah, by refusing to demand a humanitarian ceasefire and blocking the UN Security Council from imposing one on both parties, world leaders are complicit in these crimes. And I believe, I feel that very strongly. And you know what? Also, imagine again, I've said this before, that your family, to talk about the hostages as well, and you're watching your government go in the way that they are going in. They show no care at all, it feels to me, for those hostages that they do keep telling us about. Also, we haven't had any evidence yet of these 2 Hamas leaders that they've apparently got in this strike against this refugee camp.
But on that point, because I think a lot of people are making a sort of a huge thing about this idea. Well, yeah, but they got these two Hamas leaders. A, who says Israel?
Jeremy Bowen was quite...
B, where's the proof? And C, this is a collective punishment. In no other set of circumstances, in any other conflict, they have one of the most sophisticated intelligence services in the world, Mossad. I mean, the ability to not potentially take someone out, or to be able to do something, or to be able to do something alternative, or to have a mission that is not one of bombing a refugee camp in the hope that you get someone. It just staggers me.
Yes,
and if you check out just James O'Brien, I posted it on my Instagram, James O'Brien, LBC presenter, he tries to push back on, if you have this Hamas militant within an Israeli hospital, what would the Israeli Defense Forces approach to it be? Would it be to bomb the hospital? No, it would be something else. Now, what that something else is complicated. There's no getting away from that. We accept that, and I understand that. It's complicated. But so it should be. Things are complicated. And I think what's happening here is the world is banging the drum over a simplistic, crass, inhumane solution to something that requires a little bit of what apparently marks us as different from plankton. I mean, it's shockingly, it's frightening. It's frightening. So, sorry, you were going to say, I've gone off on that. Sorry.
No, well, no, I was listening. I was agreeing with everything that you say, but I think that I just cannot imagine, and this is what Jeremy Bowen was saying this morning, what is the plan? Because this is almost 4 weeks now of continuous bombardment, right? The whole hospital system is about to completely break down. People are now very hungry. There's very little water. Disease is already popping up. This is like a hell on earth in there. What is the plan? And Jeremy Bowen was talking very carefully this morning on Radio 4, but he did say this is incredibly difficult to report from here because Israel are being very, very sort of one track really on what they're telling us, which is over and over again that they've gone in, bomb refugee camp because of Hamas Hamas leaders. He said, but that's all we're getting. And there's actually no evidence anywhere of this happening.
No, and the West is just lapping this up. Well, not lapping up. It serves the West best to not challenge this narrative.
And he said the abject misery that is going on here in Gaza. So he was speaking as strongly as he could, but you could tell that he's very frustrated with the fact that we've just been given the same line the whole time. Like we've just got to destroy Hamas. When we're seeing buildings, we're seeing people being pulled out of the rubble. We're seeing like carnage in the hospitals where people are going to the hospitals. They've got nowhere else to go, and there's just thousands of people sleeping on the floors of the hospitals. What next?
It's collective. It's collective punishment.
And if I was living in Israel, I'd be saying, what will happen when you've stopped? Because at some point you're going to have to stop. What are we going to do with this totally devastated strip of land and people?
I tell you exactly what their plan is, and this will be the plan, and this will be being discussed, and we're watching it actually succeed. At some point, everyone lost their appetite for Ukraine to the extent that it just beds in and becomes an accepted part of the background noise. Everyone is hoping that this will get to the same place where it will become an accepted part of the background noise. There isn't an appetite in the Arab countries to take this to the next level. Jordan has withdrawn its ambassador to Israel,
which is huge.
Massive deal.
That's where my mum and dad are politics. Now. My father's Jordanian. And Jordan is a bit like the Switzerland of the Middle East. The West Bank was part of Jordan, and that was taken by Israel. And yet they have had all sorts of treaties and everything. They've tried to have peace and calm. And the fact that they've called back the ambassador
it's massive. And
said that he's not to return to Israel is a massive deal. So it does make me so anxious about what's going to happen next.
The thing that really worries me and is really distressing on another front is you've got the trauma and awfulness of what's going on in Gaza. But please, please, please go to Sean King and look at what is happening now in the West Bank. You've got Orthodox Jewish citizens being beaten up and abused by the Israeli police because there are huge swathes of the Jewish community that don't agree either with necessarily the idea of the state of Israel, but nor do a lot of them agree with the Israeli policy.
They want to live in peace.
They want to live in peace. But there is footage of Israeli police absolutely hammering Orthodox Jewish worshippers. But at the same time, there is also a continuing push into the occupied territories where illegal settlers, what we have to understand, guys, is if the world doesn't get to grips with the fact that the illegal settling of a taking over of Palestinian homes, land, businesses, It is illegal. It is an act, according to the Geneva Convention and the United Nations, of ethnic cleansing that the world keeps not looking at, wanting to talk about, deal with. Obama made a sort of kind of gesture towards it. It's about the most you could. That's why there's this radicalized extremism that bursts in the awful way it did on the 7th, but also leads to the huge resentment felt towards Israel. It's not born of nothing. It's not born of sat there, blithely picking olives and stroking your sheep and sort of going, oh, there's Israel. That's that. No, it comes from the fact that an Israeli settler walks into your ground, threatens to shoot you, chucks you and your family out of the house and says, this is my home. That is going to cause aggravation and upset and radicalisation.
And it's like Jeremy Bowen was really making the point today as well on BBC, and he was saying, people have got to understand that the Israeli army against Hamas going into Gaza, there is no comparison. They just are not armed in the same way. But they are going to try and fight as they come through, because he said actually it's taking them a long time to get to Gaza city.
Well, it's the tunnels. It's all the tunnels. I mean, once the Israelis get in, IDF get into Gaza city, it's going to be kind of like almost a sort of what's it called? A sort of level playing field, because they're basically. Did you realise that they've reduced parts of Gaza to so much rubble they can't get their tanks in?
I know, that's the thing. And where does radicalisation come from? Where does extremism come from? I mean, I'm just terrified. I'm seeing these extraordinary little children, a 7-year-old looking after his 3-year-old and hanging on to his 2-year-old siblings, and his parents are gone. They ain't coming back. And at the moment, we've got an innocent child hanging on to 2 other. Where is that going to end up? Yeah. What kind of hate and resentment is going to brew in that small child? And there's so many of them. That's what nobody's talking about.
I tell you what, we're going to be in this ludicrous situation where the name Hamas might change, but you may have an even more radicalized opposition. This isn't going to work. It just isn't going to work. No. Just isn't going to work.
Is Natasha here? How's Natasha Milchin doing?
Yeah, she was. She's.
Those that don't know, Natasha's
let's have a look. Well. Natasha Milchin. I mean, this is just, and huge numbers of. There she is, Natasha. Hi there. I'm sending you love, sweetheart. And, huge numbers of the Israeli population are just scared for themselves because, of course, there is hostility towards them.
And you know what, Natasha, I don't know what you think about this, but I was talking to Mark about this today. Obviously, we've seen a lot of videos here of young Israeli soldiers filled with such hate. And I said to Mark, I feel so sorry for them, because also they're being brought up with this hate. What 19-year-old really wants to go into the army for a couple of years and filled with hate and given a gun of such power? And
yes, Natasha's in France. Hi there.
Oh, what's it called when you have to go into the army? What's it
conscription.
Called? Conscription. Imagine having your child and they have to go into the army. I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse. My child having to go into the army, having to use an AK-47 or whatever. It's not fair. It's not fair on either side being brought up with this hate and resentment. When you think, decades ago, everybody lived in harmony there.
Well, I mean, the point is that
before the West started
but there's
carving off bits and pieces.
No, I know, but there's always been conflicts between cultures. But the point is that if you like, arbitrary or artificial structuring and carving up that has taken place. Bonnie Delaney, I know where you're coming from here, but when you say you can't bomb an ideology, I don't think this is about an ideology.
What Jeremy Bowen was saying. He said you can't wipe out an idea. And the idea is that the Palestinians want they want two states. They want their own country. Well, how are you going to bomb an idea out of people? You bomb the idea more into them.
The problem is that I would say that the vast majority of Israelis would argue that Palestine simply doesn't want them to exist. They don't feel it should exist, and there is that attitude, and that attitude is equivalent to the vast number of Israelis who don't believe Gaza or Palestine should exist. Now, weird though it may sound, you can have those feelings about each state and it not become an anti-Semitic or necessarily Islamophobic thing. It's incredibly complex, and it goes back through time. And this is our mess. This is the West's mess. This is, and it continues to be the West's mess. Wherever you look around
in the world, wherever you look, it's the West mess, isn't it? You know, and I feel so sorry for people that, you know, we feeling it because we have such a connection to that part of the world. But, you know, so many horrendous things going on that is never discussed and never in the, you know, in the mainstream media. It's like Dean said, you know, it's the 20 world leader psychopaths that the rest of us have to just fall in line for.
So anyway, we will obviously be talking about this again. But guys, I think we are going to wrap up there. Stay safe, Natasha. Stay safe, everyone. And, you know, for everyone in Israel who's, you know, where are your hostages? And for everyone in Palestine that's just being bombed mercilessly. It's just like, how has the word ceasefire become a, you know, this like the weirdest thing about this is the argument.
It's almost being described as anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but the argument is
getting closer and closer to that.
But the argument is that if you call a ceasefire, you're going to allow Hamas to rearm. I tell you what, everything that the Israeli army are doing right now, it might remove the literal guns, but it's going to make people even angrier and more hateful of Israel. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. And look to the West Bank. Look at what's happening now in the West Bank. It's happening as all of everyone's attention is on Gaza. Right now, it's happening that more homes are being taken over, more encroachment is happening. I promise you, in the West Bank, there's more and more frustration there with the Palestinian authorities or Mahmoud Abbas. And if they push against him and topple him, already what you're seeing is what's going to happen. Has already happened in Gaza. The West Bank will turn to Hamas. This will drive more of the population in Palestine towards Hamas, which, let's not forget, but the reports yesterday are showing that certain sort of freedom fighters in the West Bank are shooting at the Palestinian authorities off their security and stuff like that. They're getting frustrated with the lack of action. So this is already radicalizing again. Now, you could argue, is that radicalizing? Or, whether we like it or not in the West, Hamas was felt to be the only answer to a certain population that they had. Do you remember how there was the whole debate around the IRA and Sinn Féin? And Sinn Féin was the political wing of a militant organization, and should they be allowed? And unfortunately, if there's an opinion that is given no oxygen, it will become, some, not all, will turn to extremist behavior, just in the same way that some, not all, of the Israeli Defense Force partake in awful, awful crimes against Palestinians. This happens because of resentment.
Me too. If Israel pushes too far, the other nations in the region will turn on Israel.
Good point. I don't think the governments will, but I tell you what will happen is that if the governments don't, they will face their own uprisings. That's where Jordan's at. Jordan has an enormous Palestinian population that they have to manage.
I think 3 million.
I mean, imagine trying to manage what their fears and feelings and emotions are right now. Yeah,
Thanks to those that stayed.
Yeah.
And we understand completely those that didn't. And this is the way that we'll do it now. Is just we will do it always at the end of Coffee Moaning. Listen, guys, have a safe day. Think of the little ways that you can help. Is there a little way? I'm going to post some companies that you could buy from.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a Palestinian food. We're going to do a whole sort of video on YouTube here with Palestinian food. Do you know?
Good.
What's your favourite food?
The chicken. What's the red chicken masachen? Oh my god. Anyway, guys, have a lovely day. And we're now going to sit here and wave, okay? Because it